Okay, I'm gonna ask everyone to grab your seats. We are about ready to begin our Title IX training. Please have a seat. If you're talking to Lori, remain. Okay. Yeah, we're ready to start back, so please have your seats. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Ayana Samuels Francis. I am a graduate assistant in the Office of Civil Rights and Sexual Misconduct. I use your pronouns. A bit about me: I am a second-year PhD student studying student affairs. What we're going to talk to you all about today, what I'm going to talk to you all about today, is a bit of an overview on our UMD's non-discrimination and sexual harassment, sexual misconduct policies, as well as our procedures, rule responsibilities, and some available resources and supportive measures that we offer across campus. So, a bit of a content warning for the material we're going to be discussing today. Some of this content may be sensitive for some audiences. If at any point it becomes too much or too sensitive, please feel free to step out of the room, disconnect from this material, do whatever is necessary for your own wellness as we navigate this conversation in this topic around sexual misconduct and discrimination. So, a bit of an OCRSM policies overview. We are the Office of Civil Rights and Sexual Misconduct. Our office oversees Title IX reports, so sexual assault harassment claims, as well as non-discrimination policy violations, so Title VI and Title VII. We also serve as a centralized hub of resources across campus for things around civil rights education, sexual misconduct, sexual assault prevention, education materials, trainings. We'll do trainings like this one across campus. We'll do other trainings around recognizing healthy and unhealthy relationship signs, boundary setting, consent, understanding your rights as a sexual partner, different things to sort of ensure that our campus can be free from all forms of discrimination, including sexual harassment. So, bit of an overview. I'm sure I am talking to the policy expert, so you all are pretty sure I'm familiar with Title IX and Title VI. But this is what our office does. We are over ensuring that the University of Maryland is compliant with Title VI and Title IX and VII regulations and guidelines. So a bit of a background, Title IX is what's going to be our protections from discrimination on the basis of sex. This goes beyond just discrimination or sex-based discrimination, but includes sexual harassment and sexual misconduct. Title VI is where we're going to find our protections from discrimination on the basis of race, color, and national origin. Title VI is what's going to be essentially covering our general campus community. Title VII is what's going to cover our employees of the institution, so our faculty and staff members. So a bit of an overview of the policy, UMD's non-discrimination policy and procedures. Under the policy, discrimination is defined as unwelcome or unequal treatment based on a person's characteristics or status, while harassment is defined as unwelcome conduct based on a person's characteristics or status. These are the protected characteristics. These are established through both federal and state regulations and guidelines: race, color, sex, gender identity or expression, sexual orientation, marital status, national origin, political affiliation, physical or mental disability, religion, protected veteran status, and genetic information or personal appearance. Some examples of what this can look like and what it's important to sort of differentiate between when it's something that would come to our office versus something that would go to the BIS office. Ours would be, an example could be ongoing disparaging remarks or comments around someone's religion or protected veteran status. This can also be unfavorable or disadvantaged treatment or unwelcome or unequal treatment based on someone's protected characteristics or status. What is important to sort of define the two: bias incident support services is more of an advocacy and support space. That's where folks can go if there's maybe one-off or isolated incidents, or doing some of the emotional support after experiencing an incident. That would be the bias incident support services. Our office is going to be the policy compliance piece of that. So that's when there's going to be an ongoing pattern of events. So maybe not an isolated individual event, but an ongoing pattern of events that creates now a hostile environment and rises to that threshold of policy violation from our office. So we're the policy compliance, this would be more of the emotional support and advocacy. UMD policy on sexual harassment and other sexual misconduct. This is prohibited conduct under the policy. That is going to be quid pro quo, hostile environment, sexual assault, dating violence, domestic violence, stalking, retaliation. Retaliation is bolded with a little asterisk. We're going to get into that further. Retaliation is also strictly prohibited under the policy. Sexual coercion, sexual exploitation, sexual intimidation, attempted sexual assault, and other sex-based offenses. For anyone not familiar, quid pro quo means this for that, meaning, or this can look like an advantage, usually from someone in a position of power, but not necessarily, in exchange for a sexual favor. This can look like a professor saying, if you sleep with me, I'll give you an A, or if you let me take you to dinner, I'll put you on this research team, or if you send me explicit photos, I will take you to this conference with me. Those sort of things can be examples of quid pro quo. This is also something that can be seen across peers. So if it's a peer who's a president of an honor society or a student organization or has an advantage for membership in that space, offering membership on the e-board or induction into the ceremony or society in exchange for a sexual favor, those could also be examples of quid pro quo exchange. Something else to provide example for could be sexual exploitation. This can be someone saying, if you don't send me $500, I'll expose these intimate photos I have of you. Or if you don't continue to sleep with me, I'll expose these intimate photos I have with you with your friends, family, parents, those sorts of things. So an exploitative practice in exchange, again, for a sexual favor or something sexual in nature. Any questions about the last two policies, sexual harassment and our discrimination policy? Okay. Going into retaliation and amnesty, the retaliation, under the policy, retaliation is strictly prohibited. Retaliation is going to be any action taken against an individual because they reported or filed a complaint of discrimination or harassment or participated in an investigation with our office. Every member of our campus community, faculty, staff, students has the right to report to our office for sexual harassment and discrimination and participate in investigations for sexual harassment or discrimination. That can be as a complainant, as a witness, as a respondent. So retaliation can include intimidation, threats, coercion, discrimination, or retaliatory harassment. When involved in an investigation, or if anyone is involved in an investigation and is looking to make a claim of retaliation for being involved in that investigation, our office is not expecting that person to sort of build their case on their own or investigate or prove that they're being retaliated against on their own. Letting us know that, and then our office will support or navigate investigating that claim further. So investigating whether something rises to the threshold of retaliation as well. So just being sure to communicate with us whenever, or if ever, going through an investigation or proceeding with our office, and letting our office know if there's any retaliation claims. The amnesty provision. The amnesty provision is really, really important. Something I'm really glad that the University of Maryland offers for students, both graduates and undergraduates, related to Title IX reports. The amnesty provision essentially protects students from facing disciplinary action for violating the drug and alcohol policies whenever making a report for sexual harassment or sexual misconduct. This comes from our office in the University of Maryland, sort of listening to students explain what hinders them or stops them from making reports sometimes. At times, there will be instances of drug or alcohol use. This can be on campus or off campus. And that being what keeps students from wanting to report to us, the fear that they will be receive disciplinary action or this will go on their student conduct record. So it's really important to be able to explain know for yourselves, we'll also be able to explain if anyone makes a disclosure to you that our office will not pursue drug and alcohol policy violations whenever making a report for sexual harassment or sexual misconduct. Any questions about that? Okay. Your role as responsible university employees, I believe all, or if not most of you all are GAs and or TAs. Yes, nods. Yes, fantastic. So you all are responsible university employees, also known as RUs. RUs, or responsible university employees, are required to notify the Title IX coordinator whenever they become aware of any type of sexual harassment or sexual misconduct or prohibited conduct under the policy. These are other examples of RUs on campus. It's going to be our university administrators, supervisors, faculty instructors, teaching graduate assistants, academic advisors, residence assistants, campus police, and athletic coaches and trainers. These offices across our campus are required to let us know whenever they become aware of instances of sexual misconduct or sexual harassment. On our website, there'll also be a sample script sort of explaining your duty to report. There's going to be information for sort of navigating that conversation, some best practice language, and sort of how to respond to a disclosure. And we'll also get into some best practices and tips for just responding to a disclosure, but there's going to be further information for that as well on our website. What's also important to know, as a RU, you all are still students. So you are only expected to be a RU or responsible university employee and required to report when it is in the capacity of your RU position. So when you are in your GA capacity and your TA capacity or whatever other RU roles you may take across campus. So if you're having a conversation with just a friend generally in your room, apartment, whichever, home, at a bar, whatever, and it's completely unrelated from your work, completely unrelated from your professional position, you are not required or expected necessarily to report what friends tell you in confidence. This is only when you're in your capacity as a GA or TA. So if a student that you're maybe TAing a class for comes to you and says, I need a deadline extension because I had this sexual misconduct incident, or I am failing, or I need time, I haven't been able to think straight because of this sexual misconduct incident, that's when you are expected or required to report. Beyond that, or outside of your space, you're not necessarily required to report your general conversations. Did that part make sense? Sometimes it's a little difficult to sort of navigate when you're required to report it, when you're not. So on our website, there will be a file report tab. If you go to ocrsm.umd.edu, there'll be a file report option. On that page, there'll be a report sexual misconduct online, a report discrimination online. It is important to note that there is no time limit for making a report for sexual misconduct. Again, there is no time limit for making a report for sexual misconduct, meaning this could happen last week, last month, last year. There's no time limit for making a report for sexual misconduct. There is, however, a 90-day time limit for making a report for discrimination. This is 90 days since the last occurrence, though. So not 90 days overall, not 90 days when the first disparaging remark was made or the first unfavorable treatment happened, but 90 days since the last one. So the clock sort of starts over with each occurrence, 90 days since the last occurrence. It's this one, it's just not up here.
This is the one that we're currently working on?
Sorry.
This is the other side.
Okay, here we go. It's up now. Okay.
No, I think it's like you got tab through the things.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so going through the Title IX reporting process, this is also really important for you all to know for yourselves, just to have that information, but also to be able to share it with peers, co-workers, colleagues, whoever may be disclosing to you. Being able to explain what the process looks like is really, really helpful when explaining your duty to report. So what it looks like, a report is submitted to our office or OCRSM. That report is just you sharing what was shared with you with us. We are not expecting our RUs or responsible university employees to go be investigators or fact finders and go hunting down respondents, gather witnesses, figure out all the information. That is not what is expected of you. Just sharing with us what was shared with you. So if you only know one student's name, maybe you don't know the respondent or you don't know where it happened, that's totally fine. We are not expecting you to gather that information on your own, just letting us know what was shared. So a report is submitted to our office. A report does not automatically launch an investigation. A report is submitted, it is reviewed by our Title IX coordinator, Angela Nastasi. She is gonna determine if the incident involves possible Title IX policy violations or discrimination violations and assess the immediate safety concern or assess the immediate threat to our campus. So the UMPD or campus police department is not automatically called whenever we receive a report. This is just when we're assessing the immediate safety concern. So if the people involved or the respondent involved maybe has an ongoing history, or this is immediate safety concern, or they are a danger to themselves or others, that's when we make contact and other necessary need to know partners across campus to navigate the report or the incident. Otherwise, there will be outreach from our Title IX coordinator or staff member. That outreach is gonna come as an email from our office just saying, hey, we received this report, we would love to talk further, and just have a meeting around next steps, options, resources we provide on campus, and what they can do moving forward. That meeting is going to be completely optional. From there, the process could stop. If someone decides that they don't want to talk to us, or they don't want to have a meeting with us, they don't want an investigation, they want nothing to do with our office, that is totally up to them. Our office is not going to go hunt them down. We're not going to pop up at anybody's dorm rooms. We're not going to be outside their classrooms waiting for them. The process will stop from there. We may send up additional follow-up emails saying, hey, just want to make sure that you know the resources available to you, know your next options, your next steps, or options available to you. From there, if they don't respond, we move on, essentially. But they will still be able to come back later. So that's not a forever option. Students, faculty, staff members are able to come back to us later when they feel ready. If they do decide to, there'll be a meeting with our Title IX coordinator and or staff member. That's where we'll go over the right to contact law enforcement and seek a protective order, review and refer parties to on and off campus resources, and let them know of the ongoing supportive measures that are available through our office. It's really important for us to be able to explain to them and for you all to know that filing a police report can happen in tandem with a report to our office. So some people would think, well, if I filed with OCRSM, that means I can't go file with UMPD, or I can't make a report with UMPD or the PG County Police Department. That is not the case. Both reports, both cases, both investigations can happen in tandem with each other. From there, we'll also offer the right to file a formal complaint. Formal complaint is where we'll then get into the investigation process and options for that process. So that could be an informal resolution where there'll be voluntary written impact statements, agreed upon remedies, or a formal resolution process. That's going to be an investigation. That's when our office and our Title IX specialists will gather witnesses, gather evidence, have a hearing. Parties are allowed to have advisors sort of navigate that process with them, excuse me. And then there'll be a hearing and opportunities for appeal. But it's really, really important to be able to distinguish between a report. A report just allows us the opportunity to reach out to that person, offer resources, supportive measures, let them know what their options are. An investigation or formal complaint is what comes from that. So that's separate. A formal complaint is what an investigation would be. A report is just an opportunity for resources. You all are only required to report, not push to formal investigations. So going over some supportive measures. Supportive measures are non-disciplinary, non-punitive, individualized services offered by our office and the institution to sort of preserve equal access to educational programs and activities for all members of our campus community. These are available to all parties involved in a report to our office. So that can be witnesses, respondents, complainants. Filing a formal complaint is not required to receive supportive measures. Again, filing a formal complaint is not required to receive supportive measures, meaning someone can come to our office and say, hey, I had this sexual misconduct incident happen. I do not want you to talk to them. I don't want there to be an investigation. I don't want you to reach out to them. I don't want a formal complaint, but I do need my housing adjusted. I need my dorm changed. I don't feel safe there. Or I need a deadline extension. Maybe this happened right before a big assignment was due. I need an extension for that. Could you talk to my professor for me? Or I need my class adjusted. They know where my classes are. Maybe this is something that happened with a faculty member or a TA in that class. I need my class changed. Our office is still able to accommodate those requests and get those adjustments made without the requirement of a formal complaint and investigation process. Any questions about that? So pregnancy and pregnancy-related conditions, these are also rights and resources available to all students through our office through Title IX. This is a completely voluntary process. RUs, responsible university employees, are not expected or required to report when somebody is experiencing pregnancy or pregnancy-related conditions. Students are not required to self-report that they are experiencing pregnancy or pregnancy-related conditions. This is a completely voluntary process. There's a self-identification form on our website. Folks are also able to email us, give us a phone call saying, hey, I'm experiencing pregnancy and pregnancy-related conditions. I need some accommodations or resources. So that can be academic adjustments, ADS accommodations, lactation feeding spaces, family spaces, child and elder care. That can even be just moving your parking spot. If someone's parking spot is in lot 1, but their class is in here, that may be difficult to navigate with pregnancy or pregnancy-related conditions. So just making those adjustments are options for students through our office. On-campus non-confidential resources. Non-confidential resources are resources and offices across campus that are required to report to our office whenever they become aware of sexual misconduct incidents. Similarly to you all, non-confidential resources have that responsible university employee requirement. These offices are required to let us know whenever they become aware of sexual misconduct incidents. It's going to be Res Life, our office, of course, OCRSM, University of Maryland Police Department, the Office of Student Conduct, Bias Incident Support Services, and LGBTQ+ Equity Center. On-campus confidential resources are offices on campus that are not required to report to our office. These are confidential resources available for our faculty, staffs, and students. These offices are not required to report to us whenever they become aware of sexual misconduct incidents or disclosures. That's going to be our University of Maryland, our University Counseling Center, Campus Advocates Respond and Educate to Stop Violence, Faculty Staff Assistance Program, Behavioral Mental Health Services, the undergraduate and graduate student legal aid, and campus chaplains. So going into some of the difference between private and confidential, while you all are not confidential resources in your group capacities or in your GATA spaces, you all are still expected to be private resources, meaning things are being reported up, not out. Things are going up the chain to the necessary need to know parties and involved people rather than spread across a department or across an incident. So someone's faculty members, all of their faculty members are not necessarily need to know parties. Their cohort mates, their peers are not need to know parties. Their supervisors aren't even always necessarily need to know parties. So making sure things are shared solely on a need to know basis and reported up to our office rather than spread out. That is the expectation. Our office also does our very best to uphold with the utmost discretion everybody involved in a report to our office or an investigation to our office, their privacy as they navigate our process. Confidential resources are resources that offer those advocacy, therapy, counseling, emotional, mental support services, and are expected to remain confidential. It's important to understand, though, that our office it's not confidential versus non-confidential resources, and the offices working against each other. While confidential resources may not tell us, we will often still refer students to confidential resources. So referring them to the counseling center, referring them to the behavioral mental health services or to the health center or to campus chaplains for spiritual guidance, whichever is necessary for that person involved in a report. So a little bit of how to respond to a disclosure. First, focus on building a sense of safety and empowerment, ensuring them that what happens next is up to them. While you are required to report, them deciding what happens next in that process is still their decision. Sometimes there are instances where people will feel like their autonomy has been taken away from them or they're not really offered the opportunity to decide what happens next moving forward. The option is still totally up to them. A report just offers them resources. What they decide to do next is still their decision. So we like to sort of talk about it as a report opens the door to resources, but it doesn't necessarily push them through it. Then thank them for trusting you. This is a really big step. This can often be a very vulnerable conversation. You may be the first person that they're disclosing to or the only person that they've disclosed to. So really thanking them for trusting you with this information and viewing you as a safe enough space to share. Explaining your duty to report to the Title IX coordinator, that's where the information about knowing the process for reporting, with the supportive measures that we offer, the campus resources, all really come in handy to be able to explain to them that your report, again, does not launch an investigation. What happens after that is still up to them, and what this really means moving forward. So being able to explain your duty to report, why you're expected to report, and what that report means. And then connecting them with the Office of Civil Rights and Sexual Misconduct and other resources. So connecting them with other confidential resources on our off-campus counseling center, the health center, being familiar with all of those resources that our institution offers. So last thing, how to report to or contact OCRSM. This can be done again on our website, ocrsm.umd.edu, on our reporting form, our sexual harassment, sexual misconduct online reporting form, or our discrimination report form. We also accept reports via phone calls, emails, walk-ins, sometimes even text messages, literally whatever is best suited for making the report or getting folks the resources and access to resources that they may need. Our office is located in Susquehanna Hall, which is in South Campus, right behind South Campus Dining Hall. We are open and available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Reports can be made on our website at any time, 24 hours, 7 days a week. So, quick knowledge test, just to make sure everyone's up. I know it's a little early, not super early, but a little early. So making sure everybody was listening and not just nodding along. True or false, just call it out. The only form of discrimination is sexual harassment. True or false? False, very false, very false. There was a bunch of stuff up there. All other examples of sexual harassment or sexual misconduct or discrimination, there's protected characteristics, all those things. Supportive measures may be available to parties involved, and even if an investigation does not occur. True or false? True. True. Filing a formal complaint is not required to receive supportive measures. An investigation is not required to receive supportive measures. There is no time limit to file a report of sexual harassment or misconduct. True or false? True, very true. There is no time limit for filing a report of sexual harassment, sexual misconduct. There is, however, a 90-day time limit for making reports of discrimination, but that is 90 days since the last occurrence. Not 90 days overall, but 90 days since the last occurrence. Yes. Like the protected characteristics ones? Yes, so there can be class adjustments, there can be parking spot movings, there can be deadline extensions, those sorts of things are also available for discrimination reports. Yes. Okay. Any other questions? Reading the statement, as a graduate student, I am always a responsible university employee or mandatory reporter. True or false? False. You are only a mandatory reporter in your RU capacity or in your capacity as a responsible university employee. So that's as a GA, TA, if you're a supervisor somewhere, if you have another role on campus that has a RU responsibility, you're only a RU in that capacity. Quick self-care tips: consulting with your supervisor or other trusted person in the process. Having someone that you trust to consult with does not necessarily mean that you're disclosing with them what was shared with you. This is just having someone to consult with and confide in that you're maybe navigating this process or navigating a disclosure. Not necessarily saying, oh, student A told me that student B did this at this spot and this is so difficult for me to come. That's not what that is. This is just having someone to sort of guide you through navigating a disclosure, receiving a disclosure. Focusing on what is within your control. Maintaining a sense of what you can and cannot do for that individual is really, really important. I know for me, I care a lot about my students. I care about all my students. So really wanting to be able to be this end all be all for them that we just cannot be all the time. So really thinking about what that means moving forward. And then giving yourself time and space to reflect on what you have heard and experienced and effectively deal with any challenges that result from it. So just taking the time to sort of think through that, giving yourself time to navigate. This can also be difficult for you as well. So even asking our office questions of, what are the supportive measures available to me as well as a reporter who's navigating, receiving that report and dealing with that information. Our office also encourages questions. If there's something you're not necessarily sure about, saying like, I saw this thing, but I don't really know how to navigate it, or I heard about this thing, but I don't really know who I talked to. Please, we welcome those questions as well. Last thing, there's training. All of you all should receive the training via email for the sexual assault prevention for graduate students. Did everybody get that? If not, you will get it soon, by September 19th. It's not super long, but it's not super short. So please give yourself time to complete that. It is required. And then also for in-person and virtual presentations, if you just loved hearing my voice so much and would love to hear it again, we offer these trainings as well. We offer other OCRSM overview trainings for different student organizations, different groups and departments across campus. If you're a leader of a student organization and we're thinking, I want them to have information to reporting guidelines, to information about what a report looks like, or have some of those preventative trainings through One Love, we also offer those as well. So those healthy and unhealthy relationship signs, how to help a friend who's maybe navigating an unhealthy relationship or a sexual assault, sexual misconduct disclosure. That is it from me. Thank you all so much. Again, our office is located in Susquehanna Hall, which is in South Campus. We accept reports at any time, phone call, email, walk-in, or on our website, ocrsm.umd.edu. I will also be hanging out outside in the hallway if anyone has any further questions or private conversations or questions that they wanted to ask. But that's it. Thank you.